Today's video is actually going to be something a little bit different. I'd like you all to know that if you give me comments, I do read them and I do listen to them. Case in point. On the last Llamas Love Lettering episode, Grana Boo 03 said, Cindy, would it be possible the next time you show us a font to use it to write some words so we can see how the letters work together? Maybe write the name of the font using the font, or you can choose a standard word to use. Praying hands, thank you, smiley face. Well, Grana Boo, you're getting your wish, because today I'm actually going to go a little bit deeper. I'm going to take that curly whirly serif font we've been working on for 2 weeks, and I'm going to show you how you can put it together in different ways, like different amounts of curlies, different ways to use the capital letters and the lowercase letters, etc. If you haven't watched those videos, I'm going to link them right up above. I don't know where to point because I can never tell where the card's going to come out. So you can go back and watch those. There are worksheets in the Llamas Love Lettering group that will help you with those videos as well. And as always, if you have any questions about this, feel free to leave them below and I will do my best to answer them. Now let's get on with it. First, I'm going to show you how to use like all capitals together. Now you're going to notice when I do this that I tend to make my letters kind of bounce a little bit. Like rather than put them exactly on a straight line, I tend to make them sort of go up and down. You see how I'm doing this here? That D sucks, but on the example sheet, you'll get a better version of it, though it really sucks. But what I do is I kind of put them like up and down and up and down. And the reason I do that is because it makes it a lot easier to make them fit. And notice that it's not exactly perfect. I tend to curve letters around. As you're working and you're putting letters together, you'll discover that adjusting and improvising is going to actually work better than trying to stick exactly to the way you learned it. And that takes practice, which is what you're supposed to be doing anyway. Now, if I wanted to put them on like a line, imagine this is not necessarily the straightest line in the world, but we will pretend, won't we? So I'll write the same word. And I will de-emphasize a little bit of the curlies. I won't angle as much because you want to make sure that these, see how I'm like trying to fit these curly cues in like nooks and crannies. And the biggest problem, like the Y should probably have gone underneath like a descender to make it look right. But you just have to like kind of fit them together like puzzle pieces. And that takes a little practice and experimenting. And no word is gonna look the same because each person draws them out a little bit different. It's the same concept if you're putting all lowercase letters together. So you want to kind of get them as snug together as you can, because the more spread apart they are, the more awkward the word looks. So notice how with these ends, I'm dropping down the curly so that I can keep the space between each letter as consistent as possible. That just takes, again, the eyeballing and the practice. But notice how I did it. The one letter that it doesn't really work out perfectly for is the I, and that's just something you have to get the hang of. The more you pull the curls in, the easier you can squish letters together. If you start putting them farther apart, like for example, I'm gonna write dinner again, but I'm gonna, instead of dropping the end little curlies, I'm gonna bring them up like this. Now, this is also hella sloppy as fuck. Just demonstrating the idea, not the perfectness of it. Now notice something. You might like this look, but I like kind of how more compact and interesting the top one looks than the bottom one. The bottom one feels a little bit more spread out. One way you can also use these letters is as like a first letter in a word, like use the capital and then keep the other letters without the curly. So I'm gonna put meal plan because I have food on the brain right now. So I'm gonna create my M and I'm gonna add the curly and I'm gonna drop it down. You'll see why in a second. So I dropped it down, like if you imagine that this is kind of the the line, right? It's not a straight, again, not a straight line, but you get the idea. And then I put the rest of the letters without the curlies up above, using the curly as kind of the, where the letters are supposed to start. And then I could do the same thing with the P. Bring it in, drop down this area, and then just kept my letters kind of level with this part of the P. But by doing it this way, you can see that you have emphasized the first letters of the word, and it just adds that little like oomph. And you can even go and add color or embellishment or whatnot, and that could be a lot of fun. You can also use one, like the beginning or the ending letter of lowercase. We'll use the word party, for example. This works really well on letters where you can take your curly and bring it down. Like when you're doing like a P or a D or any of these letters where the curly is inside the letter and dropping it down wouldn't make it look like the letter anymore. It's not as fun to play with. But when you have letters that have like the descending section, like a J or a Y or a G, or the ones that can swoop down like an H or an N or an M, like those ones, these are really fun to play with as solo letters in like lowercase. So for example, if you use the last letter, we'll use the word party. I'm gonna do regular font. Again, sloppy as fuck because I'm working fast, right? That's not the right letter, but fucking starting over. God damn it. I'm trying to go fast, and then you go too fast and you make your sloppiness morphs into not even close to what you wanted to display, and that was where I was right there. So I'm adding my letters, and then I'm going to take the Y and add the curly, but I'm going to extend it out and really emphasize the curly. And that can be a fun way to use that. Using letters like this, I'll write the word hello, and I'm going to drop the H the way I was talking about right here. So I'm going to start with the letter H, and I'm going to drop it, but I'm still going to tuck it in a little bit too to continue to make room. I'm going to overemphasize it, bring this down, and then tuck the E in close so that it's sitting right over the top of the curly, and then just draw in the rest of the letters as usual, keeping your spacing as consistent as you can. That's another fun way to use a single letter. You can also, using the same concept, taking these letters that have the ascenders or the descenders in the middle of a word. Do that same, have that be the only letter that you alter. For example, we'll use the month of August, which we are in currently, right? And I'm just making the letters this style. But then I'm gonna take the G and I'm gonna bring it like I did with that Y, and I'm gonna emphasize it, and I'm gonna add on this part. And then I'm going to, it's not my best G ever, but I never promised to have beautiful lettering today. I promised to have instructive lettering. And draw out the rest of the word, and you have that letter to kind of emphasize. Or if you want to, you can emphasize all of the same letters in a word, or all of the same letters that have the same situation. So for example, we'll use the word banana. Banana has multiple N's in it, and I'm going to drop all of the N's. So I'm going to just make regular letters, get into an N here, and I'm going to drop it and curl it. Pay no attention to how anemic that looks. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to drop it like it's hot. And that way you can have that look with just these specific letters. And that can work for if you have a letter that has a G and a Y in it, or a H and an M, or whatever, or an H and a Y. Like pick those to like descend down, because those ones give you the most freedom to create that look. That wasn't so bad, was it? Maybe? I feel like I fucked up a couple times, but we're not going to worry about that. I did a worksheet for this episode as well, but I did not do a standard giving you some things to copy. I actually did kind of a cheat sheet on how to actually remember some of the things I talked about with some examples. So you can use this as kind of a reminder of the stuff that I talked about in this episode while you're working on it. Remember what I said about how so much of this improvisation and seeing how things fit together and then adjusting them. You do not have to do a specific thing for it to look perfect, okay? Just remember that as you're working. To get this worksheet and the other worksheets, go to Llamas Love Lettering on Facebook. It'll be linked down below. And just to let you know, we will be doing a live chat tomorrow, Saturday, the 12th, to talk about this episode and any other questions you might have in that group. They've been at 9 a.m. Pacific time, but tomorrow it's going to be at 8 a.m. Pacific time because I actually have somewhere I need to be a little bit later, and it's going to be cut a little short, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be fun. Also, don't forget, there's going to be a live Hot Mess Plan With Me video, this coming up Sunday the 13th at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time on this channel, where I'm going to be left-hand lettering a pen-only spread. Pour one out for me and pour a couple out for my planner. As always, leave any comments or thoughts or suggestions for other things we can be looking at this season in Llamas Love Lettering in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.